Hello, it's Laura Lawson with Eatology. I'm back to teach you guys a little bit more on the label method using the zone. So our goal today is to zone this nutrition label, which basically means we're trying to portion it out using macros. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple different things on the nutrition label itself, primarily and always the fat, the carbohydrate, and the protein. Those are our macros. Those are the main thing that we are concerned with here today. Now, if you haven't seen the back videos, I would suggest going back and taking a look at those so that you're not totally lost in the sauce. But for this nutrition label, what we need to do is we need to keep in mind what our zone blocks are. So we always know our protein is going to be 7 grams, carbohydrate is going to be 9 grams, and our fat is going to be 1.5 grams. That is going to be one block. 7, 9, 1.5, all right? Now, when we have a nutrition label, what we're going to try to do is put these numbers, or assuming how many blocks will go into our total numbers of protein, carb, and fat we have on in the food that we're trying to zone. So I have a template that I always use. It looks like this. I typically write it out, but to save us some time, I went ahead and just printed it out like this, but I would suggest going ahead and writing it out. Now we also want to make sure before we actually start doing any template numbers, how many servings we're looking at. Now there's 1 serving per container. So this whole container, just 1. So we don't need to do anything with that. The total amount in this entire food item is going to be 0 grams of fat. So what we're going to do is we're going to just plug this number in down here. 0 grams. Total carbohydrate, 32 grams. Protein, 1. And then we're just going to divide it. So 1 divided by 7 equals 0.1. 32 divided by 9 equals 3.5. 0 divided by 1.5 equals 0. So there's no fat, there's very, very little protein. We know it's a paleo item, there's no other ingredients, and so as our rule of thumb from previous episodes, keep your protein, your carbs, your fats, your fats when you're dealing with straight paleo foods, natural foods. So therefore, we are going to be looking at this item being a carbohydrate, which we can kind of assume as it's a raisin. One thing I will note here, as sugar is on here, typically when it's coming from like a natural source of sugar, like raisins, fruit, some vegetables, like some paleo items will have them. The type of sugar that we're wanting to avoid would be added sugars. I would say in the case of like protein bars, protein powders, I have what I call like the rule of 5, basically just trying to keep your amount of sugar under 5 grams in those cases, but that doesn't necessarily apply when it's something like fruit or raisins. And so basically in this little container, this little box of raisins, we have 3.5 blocks, all right, of carb. To make that a meal, maybe a really quick go-to meal, using the block chart. Let me see if I can grab that real quick. I have one right around over here. Here we go. Super fast. So if we're trying to make a our goal will be to make this a 3.5 block meal. We're gonna go ahead and just make it 3.5 blocks instead of making it 3. So we're gonna take a look at the block chart. It's going to tell you that, well, in a meal, we need our protein and our carb and our fat. We already know that our carb is going to be 3.5 blocks of raisin. Our protein, therefore, chicken breast, 1 ounce, will be using 3.5 ounces of chicken. We wanted chicken. You could use turkey, jerky. That might be something easy to grab. Jerky's on here somewhere. But we'll stick with this for right now. Fat, we're gonna take a look over here at almonds. Boom, almonds. Go ahead and zone it out so we can have 3 almonds for 3.5, 10 almonds. And there you go. That's how we have a 3-log meal right there out of this container of raisins. Check you later.